Golden morning light filtered through sheer curtains, painting the bedroom in soft amber hues. Amara's eyes fluttered open to find Ji-hoon already awake, watching her with that gentle smile that still made her heart skip after all these months together. "You're staring again," she whispered, her voice still thick with sleep. "Can you blame me?" he replied in English, his accent wrapping around the words like a caress. His fingers traced the curve of her shoulder, following the path down her arm until their hands intertwined. She shifted closer, eliminating the small space between them until their foreheads touched. The intimacy of the moment felt sacred, suspended in time. Her free hand moved to his face, fingers tracing the sharp line of his jaw, the softness of his lips. "Say it again," she murmured, her eyes locked with his. Ji-hoon's smile widened. In careful Yoruba, the words he'd practiced dozens of times, he whispered, "Mo nifa re." Tears gathered in Amara's eyes, but she was laughing, overwhelmed by the tenderness of this man who'd learned her language just to tell her he loved her in her mother tongue. She pulled him into a kiss that started soft and grew deeper, more passionate. His hand slid to the small of her back, pressing her against him as if he could merge their very souls. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, Amara looked around their bedroom. African kente cloth draped across one wall, while traditional Korean celadon vases sat on the dresser. Her grandmother's wooden mask from Lagos hung beside his family's hanbok in the closet. Every corner of this space told the story of two worlds becoming one. "I still can't believe tonight is really happening," she said, running her fingers through his hair. "Our engagement party." Ji-hoon propped himself up on one elbow, looking down at her with such love it made her chest ache. "Halmione has been cooking since yesterday. She says your jollof rice recipe is almost as good as her. Kimchi jjigae." Amara burst out laughing. "That's the highest compliment she's ever given me." "She also said," Ji-hoon continued, his voice dropping to that serious tone that meant he was about to say something important, "that I would be the biggest fool in all of Korea if I let you go. She said you have fire in your spirit and sweetness in your hands." Fresh tears spilled down Amara's cheeks. Ji-hoon kissed them away, first one cheek, then the other, then her forehead, her nose, and finally her lips again, slow and sweet and full of promise. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. Halmione's name flashed across the screen. "Don't answer it," Amara pleaded, pulling him back down. But they both knew they had to. Tonight was too important. With a reluctant groan, Ji-hoon reached for the phone. "Nay, Halmione," he answered, his voice shifting to respectful Korean. Amara watched his face light up as his grandmother presumably gave him detailed instructions about the party. Preparations. When he hung up, he was grinning. "She wants us there in 2 hours, says we have important traditions to observe before the guests arrive." Amara sat up, the sheet pooling around her waist. "Then I suppose we should get ready." Ji-hoon pulled her back down for one more lingering kiss. 5 more minutes, he murmured against her lips. She melted into him, thinking about how far they'd come, how impossible this had seemed just 1 year ago. "Ji-hoon? Tell me the story again. How we started." He laughed, pulling her closer. "You mean how you nearly destroyed my entire composition? That is not how it happened." "But how did it happen? How did a Nigerian pastry chef and a Korean musician find love across continents and cultures?" If you're already hooked and want to know their complete love story, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our romantic stories. Drop A in the comments if you believe in love without borders. 1 year earlier, Amara had been in Seoul for exactly 3 days, and she was already lost. Again. The signs at Gwangjang Market swirled around her in Korean characters she couldn't read, and her phone's translation app was being absolutely useless. She stood in the middle of the bustling traditional market, surrounded by vendors selling everything from bindetok to vintage hanboks, her camera hanging around her neck, and her confidence draining by the second. "You can do this," she muttered to herself in English. "You won a scholarship to one of the best culinary programs in Seoul. You can handle a market." She'd come here specifically to record sounds and visuals for her food blog, Amara's Fusion Kitchen, where she documented her journey to blend Nigerian and Korean flavors. Her followers back home in Lagos were waiting for content, and she'd promised them something special. Amara lifted her camera and began filming the colorful stalls, narrating in a mix of English and Yoruba. "So, my people, welcome to Gwangjang Market. Can you see these beautiful mung bean pancakes? I'm thinking chin chin meets bindayateok. What do you think?" She was so focused on her viewfinder that she didn't notice she was walking backward. Didn't notice the man behind her, carrying a coffee in one hand and sheet music in the other. Didn't notice until her back collided with his chest and hot coffee splashed everywhere. "Ah!" they both yelled simultaneously. Amara spun around, horrified. The coffee had soaked through the papers the man was holding, brown liquid dripping onto the ground. He stood there, mouth open in shock, staring at what was clearly hours of work being destroyed. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." Amara grabbed napkins from her bag, frantically trying to dab at the papers, but it was useless. The ink was already running. The man said something in rapid Korean, his tone frustrated but not angry. He had sharp features, dark hair falling over his forehead, and the most expressive eyes she'd ever seen. Even in his frustration, there was something gentle about him. I'm sorry, I don't speak Korean," Amara said, her accent thick. "English? Do you speak English?" He paused, seemed to collect himself, then said in accented but clear English, "It's okay. Accident." "No, it's not okay. Those papers looked important." She pulled out her phone, switching to Google Translate. "Please, let me replace your coffee. And can those be reprinted? I'll pay for it. I'll pay for everything." Ji-hoon looked at this woman who'd just ruined 3 hours of composition work, who was now frantically typing into her phone with tears forming in her eyes, and felt his frustration melt away. There was something about her energy, her genuine distress, that made it impossible to stay upset. "Really is okay," he said, attempting a smile. "Music. I remember. I can write again." "You're a musician?" Amara's eyes widened. "Oh no, that makes it even worse. I destroyed your music?" "You are filming food?" He nodded at her camera. "Yes, I'm a culinary student. I have a scholarship here. I'm trying to create fusion desserts." She was babbling now, nervous. "I'm Amara, from Nigeria, Lagos specifically. I've been here 3 days and I've already assaulted someone with coffee. This is not how I wanted to make my first Korean friend." Ji-hoon couldn't help but laugh. Her honesty was disarming. "I am Ji-hoon. I am musician, session musician, and composer, or trying to be composer." "Let me buy you new coffee," Amara insisted. "And lunch. Please, it's the least I can do." He should have said no. He had a session in 2 hours and needed to rewrite those compositions. But something in her warm brown eyes, the way her whole face lit up when she smiled, made him say, "Okay, coffee. And maybe you tell me about fusion desserts? Are you loving this meet cute?" Smash that like button and let me know in the comments what you would do if you accidentally met your soulmate this way. And don't forget to subscribe for more heartwarming love stories. They found a small cafe near the market, one of those trendy Seoul spots that served both traditional Korean drinks and Western coffee. Amara ordered them both Americanos and insisted on getting pastries as well. "So," Ji-hoon said, warming his hands on his coffee cup. You want to mix Nigerian food with Korean food? Exactly. Amara's entire demeanor changed when she talked about food. She became animated, her hands moving expressively. Like, imagine chin chin, which is a fried dough snack from Nigeria, but made with the techniques used for Korean fried chicken. Or akara, which is bean fritters, but with kimchi mixed in. Interesting, Ji-hoon said, genuinely intrigued. Sweet and spicy together. Everything is about balance, right? In cooking, in music. She looked at him thoughtfully. What kind of music do you compose? He hesitated. He'd never been good at explaining his music to strangers. I try to make traditional Korean music modern. My grandmother, she loved pansori. You know pansori? Amara shook her head. It's Korean traditional storytelling with music. Very old. Very emotional. His English was getting better as he relaxed. My grandmother passed away last year. I want to honor her music, but also make something new. But I don't know how yet. There was pain in his voice, and Amara reached across the table instinctively, touching his hand. I understand. My grandmother passed away too, 2 years ago. She taught me to cook. Every recipe I make, I think of her hands showing me. They sat in silence for a moment, two strangers bonded by grief and creativity, and a coffee-stained accident. Maybe, Amara said softly, we're both trying to honor the past while creating something new for the future. Ji-hoon looked at this woman he'd met 20 minutes ago and felt something shift in his chest. Something that felt like recognition, like fate. Maybe you come back to market tomorrow? He suggested. I show you best food stalls, and you maybe let me record you talking about food? For inspiration, for my music. Amara's smile could have powered the entire city. It's a date. I mean, not a date. Just a meeting, a cultural exchange. A date, Ji-hoon said with a small smile. Is okay to call it date. Her cheeks flushed, and he found the sight absolutely endearing. The next 3 months. What started as one date became 2, then 5, then too many to count. Ji-hoon found himself drawn to Gwangjang Market every day that Amara was filming, even when he didn't have sessions nearby. He'd pretend to be just passing through, and she'd pretend not to notice that he always showed up exactly when she needed someone to hold her camera or translate a conversation with a vendor. On their 8th official date, Ji-hoon took her to a traditional tea house in Insadong. The autumn air was crisp, and leaves fell like golden rain around them as they walked through the neighborhood. This place, Ji-hoon explained as they removed their shoes at the entrance, has been here for 80 years. My grandmother brought me here when I was child. They sat on cushions at a low table, and Ji-hoon ordered for them in Korean. When the tea arrived, served in beautiful ceramic cups, he showed her the proper way to hold the cup, his hands guiding hers. You feel the warmth first, he said softly, his face close to hers. Then you smell. Then small sip. Amara followed his instructions, acutely aware of how near he was, how his breath tickled her ear when he spoke. It's beautiful, she whispered. You are beautiful, he said, then looked surprised at his own boldness. Amara turned to face him, their lips inches apart. Ji-hoon. I know we are from different worlds, he said quickly, as if afraid he'd lose courage. I know language is hard, culture is different. But when I am with you, I feel like I can make the music I've been searching for. You make me brave. You make me feel at home, Amara replied, her voice thick with emotion. And I've never felt more far from home in my life. That should be terrifying, but it's not, because you're here. He kissed her then, soft and tentative at first, then deeper when she responded with equal passion. The tea house faded away, the other customers disappeared, and there was only this moment. this connection, this feeling of absolute rightness. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, the elderly woman who ran the tea house was smiling at them knowingly. "Sarang," she said to them in Korean, the word for love. "Is your heart melting yet? Mine is. If you're team Amara and Ji-hoon, drop A in the comments and tell me what your favorite moment has been so far. And hit subscribe because this love story is about to get even better." Over the following weeks, they became inseparable. Ji-hoon taught Amara Korean phrases, starting with the practical and moving to the romantic. She taught him Yoruba words, delighting in how carefully he practiced pronunciation. Ikasan, he'd say every morning when he picked her up before class. "Good morning." "Joyun Achim," she'd reply, mangling the Korean but trying her best. They'd laugh at their mutual linguistic struggles, but slowly they were building a language all their own. A pidgin of English, Korean, Yoruba, and gestures that only they understood. Amara started bringing her experimental desserts to Ji-hoon's studio, a tiny space he rented in Hongdae. He'd taste her creations while working on compositions, and she'd listen to his music while perfecting her recipes. "Try this," she said one evening, presenting him with a small, perfectly formed pastry. "It's called akara peng. Akara is Nigerian bean fritters, but I made it into a bread form with Korean red bean paste inside." Ji-hoon bit into it, his eyes widening. "This is, wow, sweet and savory, soft and crispy. How do you do this?" "Same way you blend traditional Gayagyeom sounds with modern beats," she said, sitting beside him at his keyboard. "You honor both sources and create something new." He pulled her onto his lap, kissing her deeply. "You are my inspiration, you know that? Play me something," she murmured against his lips. Ji-hoon turned to his keyboard, keeping one arm around her waist. He began to play a melody he'd been working on, something that started with traditional Korean tones, but gradually incorporated rhythms that sounded almost like the Afro beats she'd been playing for him. Amara listened, tears streaming down her face. "That's us," she whispered. "That's our story in music." "I'm calling it Hearts in Harmony," he said, watching her reaction carefully. "I want to perform it. I want the whole world to hear how I feel about you." She kissed him then, deep and passionate, and the keyboard created discordant notes as they pressed against it, both laughing. The laughter turned to something more heated, and soon they were on his worn studio couch, hands exploring, hearts racing. "Stay tonight," he whispered against her neck. "Yes," she breathed. That night was the first of many they'd spend tangled together, learning each other's bodies the way they'd learned each other's languages and cultures, with patience and passion and wonder. 3 months into their relationship, they knew it was time to introduce each other to their families. Amara went first, setting up a video call with her family in Lagos. Ji-hoon sat nervously beside her on her small apartment couch as the call connected. Suddenly, Amara's screen filled with faces, all talking over each other in Yoruba and English. "There she is," her mother cried. "And is that him? The musician?" "Everyone, this is Ji-hoon," Amara said, her hand finding his under the table. "Ji-hoon, this is basically my entire family." Her mother, father, 2 sisters, and what looked like several cousins all waved enthusiastically. "Young man," Amara's father said in heavily accented English, "you are treating my daughter well?" "Yes, sir," Ji-hoon said, straightening his posture. "Very well. She is most important person to me." Amara's younger sister, Zara, giggled. "He's cute, and he sounds so formal." "That's Korean culture," Amara explained. "Respect for elders is really important." "I like him already," her mother declared. "Amara, when are you bringing him home? We want to cook for him properly." "Mama, I'm in the middle of my program." "Next holiday then." Ji-hoon, you like jollof rice? Ji-hoon looked confused, and Amara translated. His face lit up. Oh yes. Amara makes for me, is delicious. The family erupted in approval. Amara's father leaned closer to the camera. You make our daughter happy. We can see it in her eyes. That's all that matters to us. You are welcome in our family anytime. Ji-hoon felt emotion tighten his throat. Thank you, sir. I will always protect her heart. After the call ended, Amara threw her arms around him. They loved you. Your family is so warm, he said, holding her tight. So open. Now we meet yours, she said nervously. Can we take a moment to appreciate this beautiful family acceptance? Comment family if you believe love should always be celebrated. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? This story gets even more emotional. Ji-hoon scheduled a video call with his family for the following week. Unlike Amara's chaotic, joyful family call, this one felt more formal. His parents sat properly at their dining table, and his grandmother was positioned in a comfortable chair to the side. Eomeo ni, abeoji, halmeo ni, Ji-hoon said respectfully. I want to introduce someone very special. This is Amara. Annyeonghaseyo, Amara said, bowing to the camera. She'd practiced the greeting and bow dozens of times. Ji-hoon's mother smiled warmly. Your Korean pronunciation is very good. Ji-hoon says you are studying culinary arts? Yes, ma'am, Amara replied in English, which Ji-hoon quietly translated. I'm learning to blend traditional Korean techniques with flavors from my home in Nigeria. Interesting, his father said thoughtfully. What made you interested in Korean cuisine? Amara relaxed slightly. These were questions she could answer. The balance of flavors, the attention to fermentation and preservation, the way Korean cooking respects ingredients while transforming them. It reminds me of my grandmother's cooking philosophy. Ji-hoon's grandmother, who'd been quiet until now, spoke in Korean. Ji-hoon translated. Halmione wants to know if you've learned to make kimchi yet. I'm still learning, Amara said enthusiastically. Ji-hoon's been teaching me, but I know I have a long way to go. I'd be honored if your grandmother would share her techniques with me. When Ji-hoon translated this, his grandmother's face lit up. She spoke rapidly in Korean, gesturing expressively. She says, Ji-hoon translated, trying not to laugh, that any woman who wants to learn kimchi making is a woman of good character. She also says you have kind eyes, and she can see why I'm so distracted lately. His mother asked more questions about Amara's family, her education, her plans for the future. They were thorough, but never unkind. His father asked Ji-hoon about his music, about whether he was still pursuing his composition dreams. Yes, Abyoji, Ji-hoon said. Actually, Amara has inspired a new composition, something that blends traditional Korean sounds with contemporary rhythms. I'm hoping to showcase it soon. Good, his father said with a nod. It's important to honor tradition while creating something new. At the end of the call, Ji-hoon's mother said, Amara, you are welcome to visit our home anytime. We look forward to meeting you in person. His grandmother added something in Korean that made Ji-hoon blush, and Amara leaned forward curiously. What did she say? She said, Ji-hoon rubbed the back of his neck. She said you look like someone who would give her beautiful great-grandchildren. Amara laughed, delighted and embarrassed. Tell her I think she's wonderful. After they ended the call, Ji-hoon pulled Amara into his arms. They love you, Halmione especially. Your family is amazing, Amara said, relief flooding through her. I was so nervous. They see what I see, he murmured into her hair. Someone extraordinary. 6 months in, everything was perfect until it wasn't. Amara sat in her program director's office, staring at the calendar on the wall. Her scholarship was ending in 2 months. Her student visa would expire shortly after. We can help you apply for an extension, Director Park said kindly. But you'll need a sponsor or a job offer from a Korean company. The competition is very fierce. Amara nodded numbly. She'd known this day would come, but she'd been so caught up in her romance with Ji-hoon, so absorbed in her studies and her blog and her life in Seoul, that she'd let herself ignore the ticking clock. That same week, Ji-hoon received a call from a major entertainment company. They wanted to sign him as a composer, a dream opportunity that came with one significant catch. The contract required him to travel extensively for the first year, working with different artists and producers across Asia. They sat in his studio that night, both holding news they didn't want to share. "You first," Amara said. Ji-hoon told her about the contract offer, watching her face carefully. "It's everything I've been working toward. But the travel—" "You have to take it," Amara said immediately, even as her heart cracked. "Ji-hoon, this is your dream. What about us?" She took a deep breath. "My visa is expiring. Unless I find a sponsor or job, I have to go home in 2 months." The silence that followed was deafening. "We'll figure it out," Ji-hoon said finally, pulling her close. "We'll make it work. Long distance, I'll visit. You'll visit." But they both knew long-distance relationships were hard, especially when complicated by visas and finances and busy schedules. 2 weeks later, Amara received an email that made her hands shake. The Seoul International Culinary Competition was inviting her to compete. The prize, sponsorship opportunities, potential job offers, and significant recognition in the Korean culinary world. There was one problem. The competition fell on the same weekend as Ji-hoon's showcase performance, the one where he'd debut Hearts in Harmony for industry professionals. It was also the same weekend her sister Zara was getting married in Lagos. Amara stared at her calendar, feeling the weight of impossible choices. She called Zara first. "Babe, you have to go to your competition," Zara said immediately. "This is your future we're talking about. But it's your wedding. And you're my sister, which means I want what's best for you. Amara, you've found something special in Seoul. Don't throw that away for one day. I'll video call you in. You can watch me get married from Korea." Zara. "Plus," her sister added with a laugh, "you can make it up to me by inviting me to your wedding when Ji-hoon proposes." That night, Amara tried to tell Ji-hoon about the competition, but before she could, he said, "Amara, I think you should go home for your sister's wedding." "What?" "Family is most important thing," he said seriously. "You've been away so long. Your sister needs you there. We can figure out the rest later. But your showcase? We'll be there next time. Your sister only gets married once. I hope." Amara felt torn in 3 directions. Her sister's wedding, Ji-hoon's showcase, her competition. She could only choose one. What would you do in this situation? Comment below and let me know. This is where our story gets real, friends. Make sure you're subscribed because the ending will blow your mind. After a sleepless night, Amara made her choice. She booked a flight to Lagos. The airport goodbye nearly destroyed them both. Ji-hoon held her tight, his face buried in her neck, neither of them caring about the crowd around them. "I'll be back in a week," she promised. "I know. We'll figure everything out." "I know." But they both felt it. That terrible sense that something was ending, that distance and choices and reality were conspiring against them. "Mo ni fe re," Ji-hoon whispered in Yoruba. "Saranghae," Amara replied in Korean, tears streaming down her face. They kissed one last time, desperate and deep, trying to memorize the feel of each other. When Amara finally pulled away and walked towards security, she didn't look back. If she had, she would have seen Ji-hoon standing there long after she disappeared, his own face wet with tears. In Lagos, Zara's wedding was beautiful. The traditional ceremony was filled with color, music, and joy. Amara wore her burgundy bridesmaid dress and smiled for photos and danced with her family, but her heart was in Seoul. She video called Ji-hoon when she could, but the time difference and wedding activities made it hard. Their conversations felt stilted, full of things unsaid. "How's preparation for the showcase?" she asked during one call. "Good. I'm performing Hearts in Harmony." His smile didn't reach his eyes. "Wish you could be there." "Me too." "How's the wedding preparation?" "Beautiful." Zara looked so happy. Silence. So much silence. "I miss you," they both said at the same time, then laughed, but it sounded hollow. After they hung up, Amara sat on her childhood bed staring at the ceiling. Her mother found her there an hour later. "Amara, sweetheart, what's wrong?" Everything came pouring out. The visa issues, the competition she'd given up, the feeling that she'd made the wrong choice, the terror that long distance would kill what she and Ji-hoon had built. Her mother listened, then said, "You know what your grandmother used to tell me? Home isn't a place, it's where your heart lives. And your heart, my dear girl, is in Seoul with that musician who looks at you like you hung the moon." "But I'm here for Zara's wedding. Family is supposed to come first." "And it does. But Ji-hoon is your family too now. That's what happens when you love someone." The wedding ceremony was everything Zara had dreamed of. Amara stood beside her sister as she married her sweetheart Malcolm and tried to focus on the joy of the moment. But she kept thinking about Ji-hoon's showcase happening simultaneously on the other side of the world, kept wondering if he was nervous, if he'd perform well, if he was thinking about her. During the reception, as Amara sat at the head table picking at her food, Zara leaned over. "Stop looking so sad on my wedding day." "I'm not sad. I'm happy for you. You're allowed to be both, you know. Happy for me and sad about Ji-hoon." Before Amara could respond, there was a commotion at the entrance to the reception hall. People were turning, murmuring, pointing. Amara looked up and froze. Ji-hoon stood in the doorway, wearing a borrowed agbada that was slightly too large for him, looking completely out of place and absolutely perfect. Next to him stood his grandmother in a beautiful handbook. The entire reception fell silent. "Someone please tell me I'm not hallucinating," Amara whispered. Ji-hoon walked toward her, his eyes never leaving her face. Amara stood, her legs shaking, unable to believe what she was seeing. "Ji-hoon? What? How? Your showcase." He reached her, taking both her hands in his. "I thought about what you said once, about how we're both trying to honor the past while creating the future. And I realized, you are my future. I can have 100 showcases, but I only have one chance to be here for you, for your family, to show you that I choose you. Always." "But how did you even—" "Your sister," he admitted with a sheepish smile. "We've been planning this for 2 weeks. I contacted her after you booked your flight. She helped me get here." Amara turned to Zara, who was grinning like she'd won the lottery. "You knew?" "Girl, I'm not about to let you lose the love of your life because you're too busy being selfless. Now go kiss your man before you ruin my wedding with all this drama." The reception exploded in cheers and laughter. Amara threw herself into Ji-hoon's arms, kissing him in front of everyone, not caring who saw. When they finally broke apart, Ji-hoon's grandmother approached, speaking rapid Korean. Ji-hoon translated, "Halmione says she had to come meet the family of her future granddaughter-in-law properly. She says she brought kimchi ingredients and wants to teach your mother how to make it." Amara's mother appeared at her side, eyes shining. "Young man, you brought your grandmother across the world for my daughter. You are definitely a keeper. Mama, this is Ji-hoon, and this is his Halmione." The two grandmothers sized each other up for a moment, then both burst into smiles, gesturing enthusiastically despite the language barrier. I think they're going to be best friends, Zara observed, watching the two older women already arm in arm. As the reception continued, with both families mingling and celebrating, Ji-hoon pulled Amara aside to a quiet corner of the hall. I have to tell you something, he said, suddenly nervous. You've already given me everything, Amara said, touching his face. Not everything. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Amara, before I left Seoul, I did something. I spoke to representatives from the culinary competition. I explained your situation, about your sister's wedding. They agreed to let you compete next month instead. Ji-hoon! And, he continued, I also spoke to the entertainment company. I negotiated my contract. Less travel, more flexibility, based in Seoul. It means less money, but it means I can be with you while you build your career here. You can't give up your dreams for me. I'm not giving them up. I'm choosing which dreams matter most. He opened the box, revealing a stunning ring that somehow blended Korean and Nigerian design elements. The dream that matters most is building a life with you. Marry me, Amara. Let's create our own fusion, our own harmony. Let's make a home that's neither completely Korean nor completely Nigerian, but entirely ours. Amara was crying, laughing, overwhelmed. Yes, yes, of course yes. He slipped the ring on her finger and they kissed as the entire reception erupted in celebration around them. Both families crowded around, hugging, taking photos, crying happy tears. Ji-hoon's grandmother pulled out her phone and showed everyone a photo. It was Ji-hoon's contract, but there was more. She explained in Korean, which Ji-hoon translated. Halmione also invested in something. She wants to help you open your fusion cafe. She says it's her way of supporting our future. I can't accept that, Amara protested. You can, Ji-hoon's grandmother said through him. Family helps family. You are family now. I'm crying. Are you crying? Drop it in the comments if this proposal got you right in the feels. And if you're not subscribed yet, this is your sign. Hit that button because love like this deserves to be celebrated. 1 year later. Which brings us back to where we started. Back to that golden morning, with Amara and Ji-hoon wrapped in each other's arms, remembering their journey. We should really get up, Amara murmured, even as she burrowed deeper into Ji-hoon's embrace. 5 more minutes turned into an hour, he said with a laugh. Halmione will kill us if we're late to our own engagement party. They reluctantly got out of bed and began getting ready. Amara chose a dress that blended both their cultures, a Korean-style joggery top with Nigerian Ankara fabric, while Ji-hoon wore a modern hanbok with kente cloth accents. As they dressed, Ji-hoon kept stealing glances at her, making her blush. What? She asked, adjusting her earrings. Just thinking about how lucky I am. How different my life would be if you hadn't walked backward into me that day. You mean, if you hadn't been standing in the middle of a busy market with hot coffee? She teased. He pulled her close, careful not to wrinkle her dress. Best coffee I ever spilled. They arrived at Ji-hoon's family home in Gangnam to find it transformed. Paper lanterns hung alongside colorful Nigerian bunting. Tables were laden with both kimchi and jollof rice, tteokbokki and puff puff, bulgogi and suya. The fusion was everywhere, just like their love. Halmione greeted them at the door, immediately fussing over Amara's dress and pulling her into the kitchen. Your jollof rice recipe, she said in Korean, which Amara now understood much better. I made it. You taste and tell me if it's right. Amara tried the rice and her eyes widened. Halmione, this is perfect. Even better than mine. The old woman beamed with pride. I added gochugaru, little bit of Korean spice, fusion, like you and my grandson. Amara hugged her tightly. This woman who had crossed an ocean for her, who had invested in her dreams, who treated her like her own granddaughter. Thank you. For everything. You make Ji-hoon happy. That is everything to me. Guests began arriving. Amara's family had flown in from Lagos, her mother and Zara leading the charge. Ji-hoon's parents welcomed them warmly, and soon the two families were mingling as if they'd known each other for years. Amara's culinary school friends came, along with Ji-hoon's musician colleagues. Her blog followers who lived in Seoul showed up with gifts and congratulations. His producer from the entertainment company arrived with a knowing smile. "I told you that contract negotiation was worth it," he said to Ji-hoon. "Your music has been better than ever since you found balance." As the party filled with people and noise and laughter, Amara found herself standing by the window, taking it all in. Zara joined her, now 4 months pregnant with her first child. "Look at you," Zara said, linking arms with her sister. "Living your dream life in Seoul with your dream man. I still can't believe this is real sometimes." "Believe it, sis. You deserve all of this happiness." Ji-hoon appeared at Amara's other side, slipping his arm around her waist. "They're ready for the toasts." The three of them walked to the center of the room where someone clinked a glass for attention. Ji-hoon's father stood first. "When my son told me he'd fallen in love with a woman from Nigeria, I'll admit I had concerns," he began honestly. "Not because of where she was from, but because I worried about the challenges they would face. Different languages, different cultures, different continents. But watching them together, seeing how they've created something beautiful that honors both their heritages, I realize I had it wrong. Love doesn't erase differences, it celebrates them. Amara, welcome to our family. You have brought light into my son's life." Amara's mother went next, dabbing at her eyes. "My daughter has always been brave. Brave enough to leave home, brave enough to chase her dreams, brave enough to open her heart to love across the world. Ji-hoon, you have shown us that good men exist everywhere, in every culture. You honor our daughter, and we are proud to call you son." Then, Halmione stood, speaking in Korean. Ji-hoon translated, his voice thick with emotion. "When I was young, I crossed Korea during war, searching for safety. I learned that home is not where you are born, but where you are loved. These two young people have built a home together. Not in Nigeria, not in Korea, but in each other's hearts. This is the most important kind of home." There wasn't a dry eye in the room. If this doesn't make you believe in love, I don't know what will. Hit that like button and share this video with someone who needs to hear this story today. And comment below telling us about your love story. We want to hear it. After dinner, Ji-hoon stood and walked to where a small stage area had been set up. His band members joined him, setting up instruments: a traditional gayagum, a guitar, drums, and a keyboard. "Amara," Ji-hoon said into the microphone, his eyes finding hers across the room. "1 year ago, you walked into my life and changed everything. You taught me that the best music comes from blending traditions, from honoring where we come from while creating something new. This is Hearts in Harmony, the song I wrote for us. This is our story." The music started, and it was transcendent. Traditional Korean melodies wove through, Afrobeat rhythms. The gayagyeom sang alongside guitar riffs that could have come from Lagos. Ji-hoon's voice, which Amara had heard 1,000 times in their apartment, filled the room with emotion. He sang in Korean, then English, then Yoruba, the languages of their love. The lyrics told their story: the coffee-stained meeting, the market dates, the video calls with family, the airport goodbye, the wedding surprise, the proposal. Amara stood transfixed, tears streaming down her face. Around her, both families were equally moved, some swaying to the music, others simply listening with wonder. When the song ended, the room erupted in applause. Ji-hoon came straight to Amara, pulling her into his arms. "That was for you," he whispered. "Everything I do is for you." It was perfect. she managed through tears. We're perfect. Then it was Amara's turn to share. She disappeared into the kitchen and returned rolling a cart with an elaborate dessert display. Ji-hoon told our story. Through music, she announced to the room. Let me tell it through food. She unveiled her creation, a fusion dessert she'd been perfecting for months. The base was a traditional Korean rice cake, but infused with Nigerian spices. Layers included a hibiscus reduction that represented her homeland, and a gochujang caramel that represented his. The top was decorated with both Korean and Nigerian design elements, a perfect blend of both worlds. I call it 2 worlds, 1 heart, she explained. Because that's what we are. 2 people from different worlds who found a way to create one beautiful life together. She cut the first slice and fed it to Ji-hoon, who closed his eyes in appreciation. It's perfect. Like you. Taste the layers, she instructed the guests as pieces were distributed. You can taste each element individually, but together they create something completely new. That's fusion. That's us. The room filled with sounds of appreciation as people tasted the dessert. Amara's culinary instructors were particularly impressed, already talking about featuring it in the school's upcoming showcase. Halmione pulled Amara aside. This dessert, she said seriously. This is what you will serve in your cafe? Yes. This, and many others. I want to create a space where Korean and Nigerian flavors come together. Where people can taste fusion cuisine that's thoughtful and delicious. Good, Halmione nodded. I have been thinking. The location I helped you secure near Hongdae? We open in 3 months. I already talked to contractors. 3 months? Amara's eyes went wide. You have menu ready? Well, yes, I've been working on it for months, but... Then we open in 3 months. No more but. Halmione patted her hand. Ji-hoon proposed. You said yes. Now we build future together. Family business. Amara looked across the room at Ji-hoon, who was laughing with her father and his friends. As if sensing her gaze, he looked up and smiled at her. That same smile that had made her heart skip on their first coffee date. Are you ready for this cafe opening? Because I am. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any updates on Amara and Ji-hoon's journey. And hit that notification bell. You know you want to. As the evening progressed, someone suggested dancing. Amara's family immediately took over the music system, filling the room with Afro beats. Ji-hoon's musician friends countered with K-pop. Eventually, they found a compromise. A playlist that alternated between both. Amara taught Ji-hoon's family how to dance to Nigerian music, laughing as his father attempted to move his hips to the rhythm. Ji-hoon taught Amara's family the point choreography to popular K-pop songs, everyone stumbling through the moves but having the time of their lives. Then a slow song came on, and Ji-hoon pulled Amara into the center of the room. They swayed together, foreheads touching, lost in their own world even as their families watched with joy. Are you happy? Ji-hoon whispered. Happier than I ever imagined possible, Amara replied. You. I feel like I'm dreaming, like I'll wake up and still be that lonely musician who spilled coffee all over himself. She laughed softly. If you're dreaming, I'm dreaming too. And I never want to wake up. Marry me soon, he said suddenly. I know we just got engaged today, but I don't want to wait. I want you to be my wife. I want to start our life together. How soon? Next month? Amara pulled back to look at his face, seeing he was completely serious. You're crazy. Crazy about you. Next month doesn't give us enough time to plan. We don't need a big wedding, just our families, our friends, and a promise to love each other forever. That's all I need. Amara thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. Okay. Okay? Yes, let's get married next month. Ji-hoon lifted her off her feet, spinning her around as she laughed. When? He set her down. He kissed her deeply, not caring that every single person in the room was watching and cheering. "Next month," he repeated, his forehead against hers. "You and me, forever." "Forever," she agreed. The sun set. As the party wound down and the sun began to set, Amara and Ji-hoon snuck away to the rooftop of his family's home. Seoul spread out before them, the city lights beginning to twinkle in the growing darkness. "Do you ever miss Lagos?" Ji-hoon asked, his arm around her shoulders. "Sometimes," Amara admitted. "I miss my family, the sounds, the smells, the chaos. But Seoul is home now. You're my home. We could live in Lagos for a while if you wanted. After we're married, I can make music anywhere." She turned to face him, touched by his willingness to uproot his entire life for her. "Maybe someday we'll split our time. 6 months here, 6 months there. Give our future kids both worlds." "Future kids?" Ji-hoon's eyes lit up. "Well, yeah. I mean, if you want, I want everything with you," he said seriously. "Kids who speak Korean and Yoruba and English, who eat kimchi and jollof rice, who make fusion music and fusion food. I want all of it." "Me too," Amara said, tears in her eyes again. "I want to build something beautiful with you. A family, a business, a life that honors both our cultures." They stood there as the sun set completely, watching the city transform into a sea of lights. Behind them, through the windows, they could see their families laughing together, the party still going strong. "Ji-hoon? Thank you for spilling that coffee on your music." He laughed, the sound warm and genuine. "Thank you for walking backward into me. Thank you for taking a chance on someone from a completely different world." "You're not from a different world anymore," he said, tilting her chin up to look at him. "We're from the same world now. The world we built together." She kissed him as the first stars appeared. In the Seoul sky, as music drifted up from the party below, as their future stretched out before them full of possibility and promise. This was their story. A Nigerian pastry chef and a Korean musician who found love in a traditional market, who built bridges between cultures, who proved that home isn't a place but a person, who showed that the most beautiful things in life come from fusion, from taking two different traditions and creating something entirely new. And that's their story. Did you love it as much as I loved sharing it? Smash that like button, share this video with everyone you know, and subscribe for more beautiful love stories that celebrate culture, diversity, and the power of love. Drop A in the comments if you believe love conquers all. 6 months later, the grand opening of Hearts and Harmony Cafe was everything Amara had dreamed of and more. The space in Hongdae was perfect, modern yet warm, decorated with both Korean and Nigerian art, with a small stage in the corner where Ji-hoon and other musicians could perform. The menu was revolutionary: kimchi chin-chin, bulgogi suya skewers, hibiscus sujongwa, gochujang jollof rice, Korean Nigerian fusion desserts that people lined up around the block to try. On opening day, both families were there. Halmioni cut the ribbon alongside Amara's mother, the two women who had supported this dream from the beginning. Ji-hoon performed Hearts in Harmony for the crowd, and when he finished, he pulled Amara on stage. 2 years ago," he said into the microphone, "I was a struggling musician who thought I knew what my life would look like. Then this beautiful woman crashed into me, literally, and showed me that the best things in life are the ones you never planned for. This cafe, this community we're building, this fusion of flavors and sounds and cultures, this is our legacy. Thank you all for being here to celebrate with us." The crowd erupted in applause. Amara took the microphone, her hand in Ji-hoon's. "Someone once told me that home isn't where you're born, it's where you're loved," she said, looking at Ji-hoon, then at both their families, then at the crowd of friends and supporters. Today, I'm home. We're all home. Welcome to Hearts and Harmony. Welcome to our world. As the cafe filled with customers, as fusion food and fusion music filled the air, as two families from opposite sides of the world laughed and celebrated together, Amara and Ji-hoon stood hand in hand, watching their dream come to life. 6 months ago, they'd stood in that bedroom, wrapped in each other's arms, remembering how they started. Now they stood in their cafe, still wrapped in each other's arms, excited for where they were going. The journey from a coffee-stained accident to a thriving business, from strangers to soulmates, from two separate worlds to one unified home. It was the kind of story that inspired people, that reminded them that love really does conquer all. And it all started with a collision in a traditional market, a ruined sheet of music, and two people brave enough to build a bridge between their worlds. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Comment below with your favorite moment from Amara and Ji-hoon's journey. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss our next heartwarming story. See you in the next video.